This is part one of my experiments with the oral tradition and telling stories. I got this idea a while back to start recording myself telling some stories that I used to tell in the classroom because they always had such a profound impact on the students and they always had such great reactions to it that I thought maybe it was something worth recording and keeping for posterity's sake and to see how people would think about it as a classroom tool, telling stories in class and using it as a method for teaching students to tell stories. And so today is the deer story. When I was in college, I was working in my hometown of Big Fork, Montana as a delivery driver for a pizza restaurant there named Stage Line Pizza. And actually, I think the place is closed now. I don't think it's open anymore, but that's really neither here nor there. Anyway, so some nights we would deliver pizza, and it being in Montana, it would be winter, it would be cold, it would be drab, and we would have to deliver pizza and drive down the road and basically dodge wild animals. And I guess it's part of the reason why my students have such a strong reaction to this story, is because a lot of them, my students here in Korea, they don't have a lot of interactions with wildlife. And so I think it has a pronounced effect on them because they're just so shocked that I actually touched a wild animal, let alone killed one with my bare hands. So here is the story itself. So I was having to drive and deliver pizza. So people had ordered some pizza in Woods Bay, which is a little bit south of the town I grew up in, and it's still part of our delivery radius. So I got the pizzas in the car and I was driving down the road. And there's a spot just before Woods Bay when you go downhill and the road curves off to the left. And at that point, you're also up against an elk farm. There's a guy there who raises elk. And oddly enough, what he does with the elk is he cuts their horns off and then grinds the elk bone up, the elk antler up, and sells it for like medicinal medicines in Asia, actually. So it's kind of weird that I ended up in Asia, but that's really beside the story, and it has nothing to do with it. But so when you come down the hill, I had noticed in the past every once in a while that deer would come and like visit the elk in the elk farm and kind of like stand on the other side of the fence and look at them like, we're free and you're not, we can leave when we want and you can't. So on this evening, it was getting pretty dark out, I'm coming down the hill, it's very, very icy out, and I see about 10 deer standing outside the elk farm along the fence. And inside the fence, there's several elk looking at the deer like, why are you outside the fence? We're in the fence. But as soon as I saw them, I had this weird feeling. They're going to try to run across the road in front of my car. And so I slowed way down, slow, 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 slow. I couldn't have been going more than 20 miles an hour. And I'm going really slow, and I'm looking at the deer, and they're looking at me, and they're lined up along the road, and I'm thinking in my mind, please don't jump, don't jump, don't jump, don't jump. And right at the last second, one of them jumps, and he bumps right into my car, and I didn't even hit him, the deer, I should say her, actually, sorry, it's a female, hit her hard enough to actually, like, knock her over. She sort of, like, flumped up on the top of my car, on the hood of the car, and then slid across the hood of my car, and while kind of crazily ran, but with only 3 legs across the road, and like fell into the ditch. And during this whole chaotic event, the 2 pizzas that I was carrying slumped forward into the bottom of the passenger seat on the floorboard. So they were like mangled. So the first thing I did, of course, I pull over, I stop the car, I reach over, I get the pizzas up, I look, I pull the pizzas back. Now they kind of look like a pizza accordion, if you want to imagine what it looked like. They had been kind of smashed up into a ball, and I kind of peeled them back out and tried to move the cheese around the best I could. The thing looks terrible, so I know that like I'm going to have to explain this to the purchasers when they get to the house, and I'm like, that's going to be terrible. That all took like maybe 10 seconds, maybe 15 seconds maybe. I look over and I realize the deer is still alive, but the problem is the deer's back left leg is dislocated. It's just dangling off of her. And she's trying to stand up and trying to run. And I'm there and I'm thinking in my mind, I can't leave a wild animal like that. It's not okay. It's going to go off into the forest and other animals are going to kill it. So I decide to take action and put the thing out of its misery. And I happen to have a big, large hunting knife in my car. And so I get the hunting knife and I go over there and I kind of push the deer down on the ground with my foot. And then I take the knife and I grab its head and I cut its throat. Well, I guess never having